Hello and welcome back to Spark of Vintage. Today we have a spectacular treat with the April Sonnet'S Garden Blooms DIY Makers. Our paint samples this month include Tarnished Pearl and Cowgirl Coral from DIY Paint, Ash and Cobblestone from Fusion Mineral Paint, and Antique Ironstone from Sweet Pickins Milk Paint. We received several beautiful and exclusive papers this month, including old ironstone chocolate pots from Roycycled Decoupage Paper. Royce also included these beautiful floral teacups called Victorian High Tea. Connie from the Painted Photographer's rice papers included New Beginnings and A Time to Wake Up. I couldn't resist this beautiful ironstone pot for the first project. I used this wood slat board piece to replicate those beautiful Victorian tea shop signs you see all across London. I painted the sides of the board in this beautiful ash color from Fusion Mineral Paint. All the teacups inspired me to pull out some of my Alice in Wonderland stash from Stamperia and use it as backgrounds and accessory pieces for some of the makes today. I cut out a single teacup from the Victorian High Tea decoupage paper and did a water border so that I didn't have clean lines on my paper. I wanted a little bit of that torn away look. I painted the back of my decoupage paper white so that when I applied it to my piece, the colors would really stand out and pop and not blend into the background. I applied the decoupage piece to the board with Distress Collage Medium and did a little bit of coloring around the edges with walnut stain archival ink. I had this resin piece from a Stamperia Alice in Wonderland mold, painted it black and waxed it to go with the plaque. I found this beautiful 1940s edition of Alice in Wonderland at the Goodwill bins, and I've been holding onto it forever, waiting for the perfect time to use it. It's falling apart, but once I combined it with Roycycled's Victorian High Tea decoupage paper, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I painted my frame from CNC DIY Factory with our color of the month, Cobblestone from Fusion Mineral Paint. I found this beautiful, delicate decoupage paper in my stash, but I don't know who it's by. Does anybody recognize it? I decoupaged that beautiful teacup to the cover of the Alice in Wonderland book and distressed the edges with a little bit of archival ink. Mixed media is all about embracing perfection, and when my 8x8 paper didn't fit the back of my frame perfectly, I used a little bit of Elmwood from Fusion Mineral Paint to fill in the cracks. I used a couple of the pages out of the Alice in Wonderland book that referred to the Mad Hatter and the Tea Party in order to create some of my background for my mixed media on this piece. Then I attached the cover of the book using my heavy body gel from Finnabar. Also, in my Alice in Wonderland stash from Stamperia, I had these beautiful, clear, colored, transparency, almost textured materials that had all of the various Alice in Wonderland characters. And I thought they looked adorable, adorning the entire perimeter of the frame. I had this unfinished wooden box in my stash and applied heavy body gesso in order to even out some of the rough edges of the wood. I also applied a couple of coats of heavy body gesso to the inside of the box for some decoupaging. This napkin from Sonnet was a bonus piece in our maker's box and was the perfect cover for my Trinket box. I also used the napkin on the inside of the Trinket box to create a little consistency or flow between the two. In order to keep that Alice in Wonderland theme on the inside of the box, I went back to my Stamperia ephemera and found a really fun quote to put inside. I found an adorable teapot pattern in the 8x8 paper pad that went perfectly with the piece. Next, it was time to start working on the cover of the box. Next, Fusion Mineral Paint's Carriage House was the perfect green match to go with the napkin. I painted the inside of the border's carriage house as well, and the corners elmwood. This beautiful resin piece came from one of my Stamperia Alice in Wonderland molds. I applied a coat of the heavy body gesso in order to keep that resin from being too slippery when I painted it with Fusion Mineral Paint's Damask. I used Finnabar's heavy body gel to attach not only the Alice piece and the recliner, but also two small roses that I had also painted with Cowgirl Coral paint from DIY and waxed it with a little bit of bronze to give it that antiquing look. It wouldn't be Wonderland without flowers, so I used some of the IOD transfers from Millow's pages and applied them intermittently around the box. The sticker on this cute galvanized tin is applied sideways, so it needs a rescue. I don't know what glue they were using, but it took a lot of woman power to scrub it clean. The galvanized metal and the silverish blue color of the pussy willows were a great match. I applied Crackle Accents paint from Ranger to the piece. My hope was that as the crackle paint dried, it would create these cracks and age the tin. Then I could go in with a little bit of distressed color and kind of make it look like it was old and aged. But Crackle Accent doesn't always do what you want it to. Even though the crackle wax didn't crackle like I hoped it would in my imagination, I was still happy with the interesting dimension that it gave the piece. And as I finished off that ash black area, I did a little dry brush with the carriage house green and waxed it with metallic wax and bronze coin. Once I saw these tulips from the painted photographer's piece, A Time to Wake Up, I knew that these rich, peachy, coralish colors would make the perfect accent piece for my own sister's guest room. I'll leave the perfect blending technique to Connie at the Painted Photographer. She does it so beautifully well. But I took a shot and used Cowgirl Coral and Tarnished Pearl from DIY to create kind of a blended little bit of a muted color to match those beautiful tulips. Had to get a little bit of sparkle and shine in one of my pieces this month. So I used stickles from Ranger in assorted different colors to add a little bit of iridescent glitter to those beautiful tulips. Well, that's a wrap for the April box. You can subscribe to your own maker's box at sonnetsgardenblooms.com. Thank you for joining us at SparkofVintage, and we'll see you next week.